Good morning and welcome to Havering Means Business Morning Commute. I'm Chris and we've got people in the waiting room. We've got Ian in the waiting room specifically. So we're going to let Ian in and have a chat with him about business in a minute. Before we do that, a couple of things that I just want to mention. Excuse me, a bit of a cough. It's fine, but just one quick thing I want to mention. If you'd like to jump in on the call, feel free to do that. The link is in the live here, so you can jump in at any time and certainly come and have a chat with us. Ted's joining us as well. Be good to see Ted.
Morning, Chris.
Yeah. Morning, Ted. How are you?
I'm good, mate. Sorry, I'm a surprise visitor.
That's all right. You're more than welcome to jump in. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Surprised. No need to use a password. Actually, straight in.
Now, I thought we had a password, Raz, and I thought we published it. But if we haven't, and you
no, the password it said Havering as the password, but I clicked the link and I'm straight in.
Oh, amazing! Oh, good stuff.
Good,
How are you, mate?
Good. I enjoy simple.
Now, I've heard that about you, Ted, but I didn't want to spread it around.
I'll set you up there, mate. That was
good to hear from you. Let's first say hello to Ian. Ian, how you doing, mate?
All right. I know I needed me coffee this morning as I tried to put the lid from the creamer on the coffee jar, so...
Yeah. It's one of those like Christmas week mornings, isn't it? As you sort of getting ready to like slow down a bit. Weirdly though, I mean, we're just getting busier, and I think it will be sort of a working all the way to Wednesday job, and then chatting up the shop. How's life for you?
Yeah, I've got a deadline of Tuesday to meet, which is going to be a tight one. And then I've just got some stuff to work on for the new chamber, and then that will see me out through to New Year, and then everything starts again on the 4th of Jan.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, it sounds like you're busy. And what are you doing over Christmas? What's your Christmas period looking like?
It's just close family, same as the rest of us. Probably Christmas Day is just going to be me and the girlfriend, and went out once. What with the rising cases, me and my sister have been chatting, and as soon as they're quite older than me, we've decided not to meet up. Hard decision, but it's the right one.
You know what? It's difficult at the minute, isn't it? It's difficult to know what to do, but it's important that we keep each other safe. So that's all good. Julie's joined us. How you doing, Julie?
Morning. I'm okay, thank you.
Good. Where are you today? It's not the usual background. Are you in a different room?
Yeah, trying to sort my internet out.
You know what? We've been having like sort of dips all week, and it's been it's been impacting work a bit, but yeah, we're getting there. Steve, how you doing, mate?
Good morning, mate. Yeah, not too bad, thank you.
Good. How's your week gone?
Yeah, it's not been too bad. I haven't done a full week this week because I had a few days holiday at the beginning of the week, just doing a bit of home DIY. But yeah, it's been quite a nice finish to the week. So just getting the rest of December tied up. So yeah, just retaining work clients, which is nice.
That's good. When are you working up to?
I'll be here up until Christmas Eve, but we will be open between Christmas and the New Year. But we wouldn't expect that many calls over that period, not anyone else.
Yeah, we're closing the office Christmas Eve and then going all the way to the 4th. And our clients are absolutely fine with that. Morning, Sharon. How are you?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good. How's your week gone?
Good. Yeah, a bit hellish. I took on something stupid, but I'll tell you about it later.
Okay. We'll talk about that. There might be some lessons to learn from all of us, mightn't there? So we'll
lessons for everybody.
we'll definitely talk about that. Okay, cool. So we'll wait for a couple of other people, and they might jump on at some point in the next few minutes. But while we're doing that, and we'll start with Ted as our surprise guest.
Mystery guest.
The weird thing is you've been chatting to Cassie all week, so I know we've got a Zoom call booked in, but we'll come on to that in a little while. Tell everybody who you are, Ted, and a little bit about your business.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm Ted from your business community. I've known Chris for ages.
Didn't you want to give away the number of years it's been, Ted? I think it's been about 10 years now, right?
It's been at least 10 years, I think. Yeah. Chris is a member of ours. We're a nationwide membership organisation, like a modern version of a federation or chamber. But more than anything, we realise that people are looking for more clients, which is presumably why people do a lot of networking. But we help our members get more clients in a variety of ways. With what's gone on with COVID, I'm expecting the ranks of the self-employed and small limited companies to grow massively because of the redundancies. The choices people have got are effectively benefits, crime or self-employment. And we think people will probably choose the latter. But a lot of those will be particularly ill-equipped to cope with running a small business. And that's where we can help providing the infrastructure that is normally only accessible to bigger companies.
Do you want to talk a little bit about some of the benefits you provide, Ted? Because I know there's quite a sort of wide range, isn't there?
I gladly will do. I just didn't realise how much time I had. So we provide things like free legal advice 24/7, for those that need it, HR 24/7, business advice during office hours, document library, cheaper everything because we've got massive buying power. So think insurance, printing, medical insurance, telephony, and any member gets a free virtual telephone number as well.
Oh, good stuff. And talk to me a little bit about 2020. So, like, what have you seen in terms of changes in trends? Has there been a growth in membership? Has there been more challenges for small businesses? Certainly, there's a decent number of those out there. What trends have you seen in your membership?
We've certainly seen more members, membership growing. Obviously, we used to do a real networking event every day of the week somewhere in Britain. That's obviously come to an end.
Remember them? Do you remember them like when you used to go and have a bit of breakfast with people?
You know what I remember? Body language.
You know what? I've got my standing desk in my garage at the minute, and at least it allows me to move a bit. Do you know what I mean? Because I miss that like sort of dynamic. But yeah, you're right.
Being here, and we've like yourselves, we run a lot of Zoom meetings. You've been on a few.
Yeah.
But we've been able to network with a lot more people, and it's actually shocked me the way some people are so poor at networking. And if I just give you one example, we had a guy turned up for a meeting late and said, "Look, can I just interrupt? I just want to do my minute and go."
Yeah.
So in other words, I'm here to sell and not interested in buying.
I mean, we've had the conversations on the morning commute before, but I think and again, all business models are different, but at Savello, I think what we've realised is depth of relationship is more important than number of relationships. So I think just investing like the time in those longer term relationships is probably more important. But again, if you're new to business, like, you've sometimes got to make those mistakes and get it wrong, haven't you? And maybe he's one of the guys who needs some.
It's not an easy one. It's not an easy one to correct, though, is it?
No.
I just want to do my minute and go. Well, can you hang on while I criticise?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Too true. Thanks, Ted. Appreciate that, mate. And we'll cover off a couple of things I know you've done this year, like the self-employed campaign, and we'll talk a little bit about that later on because that'd be interesting to share.
Lovely.
Ian, tell everybody about your business.
I'm a Havering business consultant, and we specialise in change and compliance. So change can be a headache, so we help solve headaches, and compliance is a conundrum, so we help people navigate their way through that. and there's been a lot of articles I've seen recently about the prospective hybrid model of working at home and working in an office, a few days a week every week. And I think it is certainly going to be the way forward for a lot of businesses. But it's important to know, as in with every change, the kind of pitfalls that come with it. So whenever I hear anyone who's got an office talking about this kind of thing, then I'll say, well, don't forget, if your contract of employment says you've got 2 places of employment, each of them has to be in line with health and safety. So if they're set up in a particular way in the office, in the combined workspace, they have to have a similar setup when they're working remotely. So that means if they have to have a screen filter when they're in the office, they have to have one provided when they're at home, all this kind of thing. And it's the forgotten parts of compliance sometimes that catch people out, and you can get a data breach because someone lives in a shared occupancy home. An employer should think hard about having someone working from home that's in one of these shared occupancy residences.
Because that's part of the challenge, isn't it? We're all working differently, and we're all sharing our data. Our business's data, or if we're employed, our employers' data on different networks. And what are the risks of that? What are some of the dangers of that?
Well, let's be. I don't want to have scare tactics kind of run around here, but I mean, if you're in one of these high risk situations, as it were, at least all you've got is someone in your house that should be relatively friendly to you, looking over your shoulder and saying, "Oh, I didn't know that your business had this person as a client."
Yeah, or you've got this client. Yeah.
And it just risks, that confidentiality part, and a lot of us need to be able to trust the businesses that we work with. So, the biggest danger in anything like this is reputation, because it's the hardest thing to build back up again.
Yeah, and it takes years to develop your reputation. It does. Thanks.
There was a statistic out there that said, I think over 70% of businesses that suffer a data breach will fold within 3 or 4 years.
Right, that's scary. Yeah, that's scary. All right, thanks, Ian. Appreciate that. Julie, what's going on in your world? Tell us about you and your business.
Morning, everyone. I'm Julie. I work for myself. I've got a really small little flower business. I'm based in Havering. I'm all about making it personal. I'm not a click and go kind of florist. I don't have a website where you can click on it.
Online.
Okay. Yeah, I don't like that. I'd much prefer someone to drop me a line, give me their number, and then I have a chat, and that chat develops. And a lot of the feedback, I didn't know you could get feedback off of Squared. All my feedback is how personal I am, and you get that relationship, and they trust me, and they come back.
Yeah. So you ever I'm just trying to translate it to my world, because certainly the way we do things, I really want to understand what our client's about, so that we can deliver the best advice as financial planners. But how does that translate to what do you want to know to understand how you can help them? What questions might you ask?
I can relate this down to I do a lot of funeral work. So I can relate it to that people are going through like a horrendous time, and they're in shock, and they don't get a long time to plan.
Yeah, gotcha.
And I give people my prices.
Yeah.
And I know my prices are good because I do a lot of research. And often people will say, "Oh, Julie, we've only got £100. What can you do?"
Yeah.
And then we just tailor it all in. And if I can't do it, I can't do it.
You know what? I lost my mum a couple of years ago, and she was up in Norfolk, so we were sort of dealing with Cassie and I were dealing with the funeral up there, along with sort of Russ and Kay and other members of the family, and the importance of getting it dealt with by somebody, number one, who I felt cared, and number two, who I felt took the time to support us through that, was so important. Important, because it is personal, for me, the funeral, and I mean, like, sort of having to do the eulogy was probably the scariest time I've had to stand up ever, because it meant a lot to me. But that funeral was a tribute to my mum. Do you know what I mean? And it's it's an important occasion, isn't it?
It certainly is. I took on a big funeral recently, and I'd reached my limit, and I was getting a couple of phone calls, and I had a half an hour phone call where I'd originally said to the lady, I really can't do your flowers. Yeah, I've taken on enough for me to be able to cope with.
Yeah.
And we discussed different options, and in the end, she said to me, after half hour of listening to her relationship with this gentleman, etc., we'd agreed that we'd send a bouquet about a week after to the lady who'd lost her husband, just to say that everyone was still thinking of her. And she still sent flowers.
Yeah.
But I still got a sale from it.
Yeah, Gertrude, because you wanted to care, and I'm getting I mean, the good news is, Julie, I'm getting a sneaky peek. Russ has got our website up and running, apparently. So I'm getting a sneaky peek of the website on Monday, and you're one of our cover stars. So I'm really looking forward to seeing it in action. So we might talk about that. Russ gets a bit audio and camera shy, as we know, so he might not come on and talk about it, but I'll let everybody know what it's looking like on Monday. Steve, tell us a little bit about you and your business.
Well, hi guys, my name's Steve Chilton. I work for ERB Commercial Risks. We are a commercial insurance specialist, so we can facilitate cover for property, liability, motor, professional indemnity. Things like with anything, it's been tough for us. I think we're able to work a lot harder and a lot smarter than we have done in more recent years due to the pressures that our client base are under. But it's working. We're retaining our clients and we're helping them through this. We haven't really lost any clients that have potentially come under economic pressure, so which is a good success for us. But the main thing that we seem to be doing at the moment is kind of developing our key strategic partnerships with insurers, and that seems to be working for us with our ability to retain our clients.
Have you with it? I mean, as you know, we work with a lot of financial institutions that are sort of big in nature. Their service standards in 2020 have slipped a bit, and I don't know whether the bigger firms have been as engaged in sort of dealing with what's gone on in 2020 as much as they should. I'm putting that politely, Steve. But have you found that? Have you found that service has changed? Because we're trying to fight among some of our clients and sort of trying to. And what changes have you seen?
I think it's going to be the same across any kind of business. I think, to be honest with you, with the sheer volume of people that are working remotely, what would normally be a simple exchange in an office environment is now much more laboured, because you're having to you might speak to 4 or 5 people to get something resolved, but speaking to 4 or 5 people remotely isn't really conducive in quick turnaround, which is the key to the way we operate is we do want to operate a sort of quick turnaround to any inquiry that comes in. But I mean, I know that there's been lengthy conversations. Even yesterday, we're having lengthy conversations just trying to get the bottom of some responses insurers should have given in a more timely fashion. But I think our clients, I think everybody in this kind of current COVID crisis will understand that service levels have dropped off a little bit. But the main thing is, it's just if you maintain level of communication between your client and your end insurer, and it's just about managing expectations. I mean, there are things we know we will potentially get sorted out in a space of a week, might be taking us 2 weeks. But as long as the client knows, as long as the insurer knows, It's managing expectations.
It's making sure the communication's there, right? And Christmas is coming up. It's your first Christmas as a married man. What are you up to?
Look, especially for you, Chris. I bought the Christmas jumper out.
No, it's a good look. It's definitely a good look. As you know, I don't own a Christmas jumper, so I've worn one of me more.
There you go, Chris.
Steve, thank you, mate, for making such an effort. I appreciate that. That's good stuff. My eyes have got a bit wonky after seeing that this early in the morning, but we can live with that. We can live with that. Thanks, mate. Appreciate that. Sharon, does your jumper flash? That's the only question I can ask after that. Tell us a little bit about you and your business.
Sadly not. So I set up Argos in the middle of May with no flashing jumpers, no baubles, just plain COVID baby.
Yeah.
My drive behind setting up Argos is because having done 20 years in accountancy, I got really disillusioned with the service levels that are provided by your standard accountancy firm. The way they're trying to account for every 6 minutes, make sure they're charging somebody for every 6 minutes and recovering every single penny on what they're doing, which just isn't a great business model, I don't think, for clients now. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
So I set up Argos with the view of providing a completely different level of service to my clients, from daily bookkeeping, supporting them with furlough claims, which we haven't charged our clients extra for. And there were so many accountants that have charged their clients for dealing with this nonsense. It's not the client's fault. It shouldn't be a cost to them. And so it takes some time, but it's an investment in that client relationship.
100%.
And that's the way I see it.
Yeah. You know what, we've experienced a decent level of growth sort of since August onwards, and some of it has been quite costly in terms of time. But for us, our interest is having a 20-year relationship with a client. You know, that's our focus. You know, that how can we build and develop and invest in that client to make sure they're happy now, so they're going to be happy in the future. Yeah. And tell us how your 2020's gone, because starting a business in 2020 is an interesting thing to do, isn't it?
It's been interesting. The beginning bit was just putting my cornerstones in place, forming my relationships with my various partners, getting my insurance, my HMRC access, and all that stuff sorted out. So just the cornerstones. Now that that's in place, we're picking up clients at a nice pace. That said, 5 weeks ago, I had to take the foot off the brake a little bit, or put the foot on the brake a little bit rather, and take it off the pedal. But we're ready to pick up again for 2021, so it's all good.
Talk to me about how you're managing that, because it'll be an interesting conversation as we go into the break. One of the things and to be fair, right, Ted got me into this, so it's Ted's fault. 10 years ago, I wasn't a runner, right? And Ted said, come out for this little run. I'll tell the story now, Ted. He said, it's a little run in the park in Greenwich, right? So I said, look, I'm up for a challenge. I'll come out for a run. This pack came through, Sharon, and it was for this run. And on the top of the letter, it said, welcome to the Greenwich Tough. And I was like, I phoned Ted and went, what's this pack? And it was 3 times up the Observatory Hill in Greenwich, which wasn't the run in the park I was expecting, to be honest, Ted. So thank you for that. But how do you, as you say, when you're working for yourself, when you're running your own business, it is difficult to get the balance right between working too much and sort of just taking a break. How do you now, gone through that experience, changing the way you work so you've got a bit of a balance? So for me, it might be just doing a gym session or going for a run. What's working for you?
So we as a family make sure we get out for a daily walk every day. That started with 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. We're now up to an hour walk, which is actually really nice and sometimes I'll go out, and if I've got a lot running around in my head, to say, guys, take your headphones because I'm not talking to anybody. I'm just going to listen to my music, just zone out, gather my thoughts. But that's quite nice. We sit down, we make sure that we sit down as a family for dinner every night, and that's family talk, not so little things, but it's made a difference.
Yeah, gotcha. And help me understand a little bit about, because it's Hanukkah at the minute. Is it coming to the end, isn't it?
It finished last night. Last night was the 8th night.
Oh, cool. So what did you do to celebrate the end? Do you do anything like, is it a special dinner, or is it?
Wow. There was actually a drive-in, would you believe, which I never thought we'd see. I'm quite familiar with drive-ins. I'm South Africa originally, and drive-ins there are commonplace, but I didn't think that was something we'd be doing here. So just off the North Circular in Edmonton, they had spaces for 300 cars for a drive-in, and they had a guy on stage. It was all streamed into your car radio. It was amazing. It was really nice. Only
Cool.
a couple of hours, but really nice.
So what was it, a show or a movie or what?
No, it was a show. There was a guy on stage performing. They had magicians. They had some fire throw people. I don't know what you call them, actually.
Fire breathers or what?
And they were throwing them round. It was all sorts. But it was just, do you know what? It just broke the monotony. We were quite safe because we drove out. We sat in the car. We didn't move. We didn't interact with anybody. So it was fine.
Yeah, no, weirdly, just at the end of lockdown 1, we went to a movie drive-in to see The Goonies, which is still an absolute classic. So yeah, it was definitely worth doing. But similar, all the audio came through the radio. You just tuned in, and it all came through. It was really good. Worked really well. Christine,
we booked to go and see Russell Watson, something similar. And unfortunately, that got cancelled at the last minute because of COVID, which seemed a bit strange because really you didn't mix at all, but they cancelled it because of COVID.
Yeah. I was saying this earlier in the week. We had tickets for Gregory Porter, you know, the jazz guy, and at the Royal Albert Hall, and the problem is they just cancelled the tickets. They didn't rebook, so I'm going to have to try and fight to get a new set of tickets now. So it's. Yeah, a lot's changed in COVID times. Christine, how are you?
Good morning. I'm fine, thank you. Yeah.
Good.
Yes. Today's the last day of the working year, so I'm
So you're sort of shutting up shop as of Monday.
Well,
as of today.
As of today, yeah. Well, we like to observe school holidays, so
Yeah. I think next week for me is going to be sort of less like sort of focused. I've got a meeting with Russ on Havering Means Business on Monday. I've got 2 or 3 client calls, but it's going to be sort of a little less busy next week. But yeah, all good. So what are you doing for your Christmas break?
Just relaxing. I mean, I know that sounds weird because obviously we had that COVID year and it's been a very different year, but it's just a mental switch off, you know, especially like as we all run our own businesses, it's about always thinking and always checking, and Tracy and I have said, no, let's just switch off. Our clients are looked after, nothing's going to happen. Let's just enjoy. Yeah. And
how do you mentally switch off? Is it a bit of a Netflix job, or is it a sort of book? How do you do it?
TV. When I started the training for this company, so we kind of did this training course to set up the business. And they said, like, switch off TV. Every hour you spend on TV, you're wasting on potentially your business. So pre-COVID, I think every waking hour was kind of working towards, because obviously I do the hypnobirthing as well. So it's running 2 businesses and kind of making sure that everything was kind of working behind the scenes. So every waking hour was that. So no, I'm hoping for a bit of nice weather. I'd like a few more walks in the park. We don't do enough of that, especially not at this time of year. So, but then generally, no, I'm a bit of a, sadly, it's on the phone and flicking through Facebook, which can just suck up a lot of time, and watch a lot of YouTube videos, but kind of information stuff. So
yeah, no, fair enough. And tell us a little bit about your businesses.
So Perfect Layout Digital Marketing, which I'm kind of here with that's my main hat, is helping businesses with their digital marketing, their online presence. Julie, we might have a chat. So one of the things that we do is a lead generation website strategy. So it's for phone-based businesses where we can create like a twin site, and I'm not sure this necessarily for you at this point in time, but we create a twin site where they could call us. So this works quite well for a lot of phone-based companies, so plumbers, architects, structural engineers, tree surgeons, where clients aren't necessarily looking to build that relationship, so like they would with Chris and Savello. It's more about, I just need a job done. and we offer that strategy. So we've been building that quite successfully this year, and in 2021 want to look a bit more into that. So a call out to the group is, who are the Havering businesses that are phone-based businesses that just need that, you know, their clients just want that job done.
It's that demand sort of business, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not the trust business. It's that, right, I need something done. And then, I mean, it's interesting though, because Julie's relationship with her clients is based on trust. But Julie, out of interest, does that normally come, because a lot of our clients come through referral, either through our professional partners, and we've got a couple on the call today, but also from referrals from existing clients. Do you find that how do people initially find you?
It is through reviews, my online reviews. I get a lot from Google.
Yeah.
And I would have said about 20% of my clients are from abroad, where they've got family over in the UK. And that, you know, so and then they've built up, and they've been telling their friends about me. So Australia and America, I have a lot of phone calls from.
Right.
But it's trust. That's huge for me.
Yeah.
It's how, you know, the reviews, and then networking.
Yeah.
Nothing like a referral.
Yeah, well, the relationship's there, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's you know that that's done. Talk to us, Christine. Sorry, Julie. Talk to us, Christine, a little bit about hypnobirthing and what that involves.
So hypnobirthing is helping couples understand like the birthing process and trying to make that journey easier, both physically for the mum, emotionally for both of them. And also about understanding their rights, which sadly this year, due to what we're facing, the hospitals have kind of slapped down a lot of what I think
To be
is
done.
essential care. Like, you know, they're not allowing birth partners to any of the antenatal appointments. You know, at the 12-week scan where a woman says, sorry, this pregnancy is no longer viable, they need somebody by their side. And I don't think it's a good enough excuse to not allow birth partners to be there. So this year's been tough because my business came to a grinding halt of February because nobody wanted to book face-to-face in the first lockdown. Then I felt disheartened by the whole NHS because I thought, you know what, you're not offering proper care to either women in pregnancy and even during labour. So I don't know if people aren't booking because I've kind of intimated on my site that I'm not really teaching at the moment, but I feel it's disingenuous to take, you know, the best part of £300 off a couple, which when they get to hospital, they're going to be told
they can't, certainly. But hopefully 2021 we'll see an improvement in that.
I need to do a bit of work on my website and kind of make it a bit more, I'm open for business now and I'm here to help you. So that's partly, you know, it's partly my fault. I've thought about it, do I open up? And it just didn't sit right with me just yet. But
but that's interesting, isn't it? I think as businesses, we've also got a element of ethical responsibility to make sure that we're giving people good information and treating people fairly, and it sounds like that's what you're doing. So thanks for that, Christine. Appreciate that. Kevin, how are you, mate?
Morning, Chris. Sorry my lateness. I'm very
well. No worries. Tell us a little bit about you and your business.
That's throwing me straight away, isn't it? Right.
Well, you're late, mate.
I know I'm late, mate.
We're already through it.
Okay. Right. Makes life lending. We deal with solving problems for the older generation from 55 onwards in the form of a non-status mortgage, fixed rate, very useful for inheritance tax, general tax planning, i.e. gifting, repaying interest-only mortgages, etc. And main source of business is from professional introductions, surveyors, solicitors, accountants, wealth managers, and we're open to talking to people on a solution which is very, at the moment, beneficial on interest rates.
Great stuff. And what's so firstly, when are you breaking up? Are you working all the way through, or are you stopping on today?
No, ideally it should have been this afternoon, Chris, but likely it will be about the 23rd. Yeah,
same as us. We've our to-do list is still there. Problem is, Kev, a lot of it is self-inflicted. Do you know what I mean? I'm sort of a lot of my work next week is those projects that have been on hold a bit. I mean, we're doing some. I think I mentioned it last week. we're doing some work on our sort of ethical investment proposition, because we've got a couple of clients who are looking at that, and that's a big job that always, when client work comes in, we focus on, that I just need to get sort of moving. So it's jobs like that, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
It's
Jobs
just CPD records, all the boring bits, isn't it? So,
well, I'm promising I won't mention it again, but because I've been doing my chartered over the last 3 years, I've got loads and loads of CPD, because each of those exams is like 80 hours.
yeah.
So I think I've got enough CPD for the next like 5 years. But yeah, all good. Thanks, Kev. Really
No problem,
appreciate that. Ted, talk to me a little bit about, because I know you earlier in the year, you were on Facebook quite active in terms of helping the self-employed, who, particularly the ones who fell through the gap in terms of government support, get help. Help me understand a little bit about how that campaign went, because you had some political engagement as well, didn't you?
Quite a lot, yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.
I should have said, Chris, congratulations on achieving chartered status.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate that.
So yeah, it was March, and there was actually sort of intimation that the government were going to do stuff for employees, which obviously came to be. I was sitting at home on a Saturday night thinking, brooding. I'd normally be in a restaurant or the pub. And then I thought, well, do you know what? I'll watch Match of the Day. And I thought, oh no, there's no football.
To be honest though, mate, the way Arsenal are going at the minute, there's probably
yeah. I can't even disagree. But yeah, so about 9:30 on a Saturday night, I started a Facebook group called Fairness for the Self-Employed. And even if you run a limited company, you still feel self-employed, because you're the master of your own, or mistress of your own destiny, aren't you?
A lot of your members are either sole traders or sort of one-man limited companies, aren't they? So
yeah. I mean, we do go right up to Chelsea Football Club and members and Ibis hotels, but yeah, I mean, the vast majority of the economy, 97%, 97% of all businesses employ less than 5 people. So Saturday night, 9:30, I started a Facebook group called Fairness for the Self-Employed Now. I invited everyone I knew I was friends with. I went to bed and there was maybe 50 people that had accepted and become part of the group. I'd asked everyone to add people to the group. I woke up in the morning and there was about 400 members. And within 2 weeks, we'd hit 7,000 members. So it was a massive, people bought into it, basically. Just come up on my phone here, 2 more people just asked to join Fairness for the Self-Employed. It comes right back to government, and I've said it for years, have no idea what being self-employed or running your own business entails. And it's a societal problem. If anyone thinks back to when they were a kid, you go to school, you meet school teachers who are employees, you go to uni where lecturers are employees, you get your first job and mix with employees, you get your first bank account from an employee of a bank. And ultimately, without missing out all the employees in the middle, our lives are controlled by MPs who are employees. There really needs to be, I think, a minister for the self-employed. I really think they just think we're tax dodgers. And it's grossly unfair. There's a cash economy, and because there's a cash economy, obviously people will do what they see fit, but that's just the way that is. But for the rest of us, and what really galls me, and I saw BBC Breakfast this morning, they're still talking about the people that are affected are musicians and hairdressers and hospitality, and of course they are. But everyone on this call has been affected. There's accountants, and there's networking groups, and there's everything you can think of. That we understand. I'd love to see someone make a film and start with a networking meeting. Can you imagine? Because the rest of the economy have never seen a networking meeting. So they claim there's 3 million people that have fallen through the cracks. I mean, I speak to MPs about this, and there's more and more people on our side now.
I mean, but as you say, there's a challenge there, isn't there? Because do MPs get it? Because I know you've got a relationship. Is it Bill Esterson?
Bill Esterson especially,
yeah. But is there a trend for MPs to get it, or is it sort of, as you say, outside their current realm of understanding in terms of getting what the issue is?
I'm probably being cynical, but I think MPs are being equally cynical. They're looking at us as votes. And I've said for years, 5 million self-employed people, if that could be harnessed, that vote would win every general election.
Gotcha.
5 million. It's as big as the public sector now, self-employment. But yeah, there's more and more MPs now on side. But you know, the Chancellor Rishi Sunak, he's saying out of the 3 million, 1.5 million are self-employed people earning between £2,000 and £4,000 a year, as though that's some sort of, that makes it okay then. But even if you disclude that 1.5 million, that leaves another 1.5 million people that are effectively destitute since March. And it's just not good enough.
Yeah, it's definitely an issue. It's absolutely an issue. But thanks for running that.
I had a one-to-one with Sharon. I didn't know Sharon was going to be. I had a one-to-one with Sharon last week, and I was saying the debt of £2 trillion. No one truly understands or comprehends what £2 trillion is. But if you were alive when Stonehenge was built 3,000 years ago, before BC, so 5,000 years, and started spending £1 million a day, you wouldn't have spent 2 trillion quid yet.
Yeah, that the challenge you've got with that is people don't get big numbers. People don't understand big numbers at all. And weirdly, I talk like one of my sort of subjects that I talk to clients about is sort of exponential growth, you know, that sort of thing. And the challenge we've got this massive debt that we'll now need to do something about. The problem we've got in my world at the minute is one of the ways they're going to do that is increase capital gains tax. We think. So a lot of my clients are going, I'm a bit worried about this, Chris, because I've got all these assets that might have a bit of a hit if they, I mean, effectively, they might equalise capital gains tax to income tax. That's one of the things they're sort of putting out there. But it'd be interesting to see what happens.
The payoff, Chris, is going to be tax increases wherever they are. But whichever tax you choose, but there'll be tax increases. But that then means the people that were excluded from government provision will be paying back the grants for the people that did get.
Potentially so. That's definitely a challenge.
And expect a lot more tax investigation as well.
Yeah, no, that could definitely happen. Phil, how are you, mate? Morning.
Yeah, I'm really well, thanks. Sorry for the tardiness this morning. Apologies.
That's all right. How are you doing this morning?
Yeah, not too bad. Thank you. Got a few things going on. We've recently got a new addition to the family. We've got a puppy in the house at the moment. So it's taking up a lot of attention at the minute.
You know what? We've got a little dog, and I said 6 or 7 years ago that I'd never get a dog, and now he's part of the family. What made you get a little pup?
Well, we unfortunately about a month or so ago we had to have our previous dog put down quite unexpectedly. So we were very much of the opinion that we weren't going to get a new dog straight away, and then after about 2 weeks we'd started looking for new dogs. So yeah, we were.
At least you wait the 2 weeks.
Well, it was more because the house kind of felt, although it's hard to say the house felt quiet when you got two young boys running around. It just felt that the house just didn't seem complete without a little dog running around.
So what dog did you get?
He's a cockapoo.
Okay. Oh, cool. And is he like sort of, you're at training stage or what stage? Yeah,
literally we brought him home sort of on Friday, so he's sort of nine weeks oldish. Sort of
bless.
Yeah, So yeah, need to kind of at the stage where eyeballs have to be on him sort of at all times.
You know what? Our dog's like 8 now, and he's murder because he's an amazingly well-behaved dog, and then he'll just bin dip every couple of weeks. So like we'll come down the bit. Oh, yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
Dogs. Tell us a little bit about you and your business, Phil.
So new, I say relatively new business, kind of set the business up, Fit Squad Bootcamp in say September time, I guess was when I very first started shop. Obviously deliver online and outdoor boot camps for all abilities. Really thought kind of during, it's obviously with the year we've had in lockdown and everything, that is, you know, critically important to kind of get people involved in community and, you know, trying to improve people kind of physical and more importantly mental health kind of everything that's been going on. So set up online and outdoor boot camps and obviously, and do one-to-one personal training as well.
Cool. I'm booked in for tomorrow.
You are.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. I am scared about I mean, I'm gonna have a little jog to Damins, so I've got like a little 2 miler to Damins before I get there, and then Cass is gonna come and give me a lift home. We're agreeing on this call right now. There's no burpees, right? Is that?
We can agree to disagree.
I'm looking forward to it. And the weird thing is, because I didn't know this when I booked it, but now Tier 3 has come along. Group training in gyms can't exist anymore, so the outside stuff works, right?
I mean, I think a lot of people, you know, throughout lockdown with all the changes that have been happening, obviously businesses been, you know, having to close and open again, and all the chopping and changing.
Yeah.
And the variations or the tweaks and changes between each time that's happened. I think it's caused a lot of confusion, but especially with gyms, not so much kind of, I don't feel like so much with so many of the smaller kind of community-based gyms, but but definitely the big commercial gyms. I think people are feeling a little bit concerned about, you know, they want to go and do something, they want to go do their workouts, but aren't feeling quite so confident or comfortable about, you know, being in the gyms at the moment. So being outdoors is, you know, fortunately for my business, obviously we're online and outdoors, so it's unaffected.
It works. Yeah.
We run all the boot camps, obviously, you know, over and above the government guidelines at the moment in terms of socially distancing and things like that. So it's a really safe way for people to be able to get involved. But the industry is like many, it's you know, really tough at the moment. It's been hit by lockdown. I really feel for all the kind of the businesses that are kind of
100%. Yeah, 100%. I'm with you. Julie, just want to cover off one particular point on your business. Is it when Christmas comes along, do you get a demand? I suppose it's done there, isn't it? Like for sort of wreaths on the door and stuff like that. Is there just like the festive period change where the demand lies or not?
At the beginning, and we had to change everything because I do workshops.
Okay.
So we went into Tier 2 from the lockdown, and I was able to do my workshops, but we also sent a lot of kits out.
Right.
That was different.
So like a DIY kit.
Yeah, like we did a DIY kit. And so I did a couple of Zooms, but I found it quite awkward because I felt like I was talking all the time. And when you're in a group setting, it's a lot easier to get feedback flow.
Yeah.
This week's mad. Christmas bouquets, mad.
Christmas bouquets. So this is like gifts for your spouse.
People not being, and at the moment, people not being able to see someone, so they want to send flowers and, you know, just to say we're still thinking of you, kind of thing.
I've got a feeling she's watching in the house, right? But Cassie said to me she's been making subtle hints about getting a Christmas bunch of flowers. And you know what? The problem is with like sort of hosting and running Havering Means Business. Is she's now said to me, well, Julie can help you out with that, can't you? So I've got no excuse, Julie. What have you done to me?
Me and Cassie are working together.
See what I mean? Do you know what I mean? There's no way that I can win with that. That's all good. That's all good.
But if she puts an Interflora one up, I think I might kill you.
Ain't gonna happen. Not for me. I'm coming to you. All right. That's fine. Sharon, talk to me a little bit about, because I know in your world, certainly in our space, on the run up to April is the busiest time. I've got a client. It's funny. I've got one of the reasons that I'm working all the way up to Wednesday is I've got one of my biggest clients who, for a few years, we've been trying to persuade to come and see us in December, because his job is normally a sort of 2 to 3 months job, and every year he comes and sees me at the end of January so we can prep for April. This year he's come and see us in December when we're busier than ever. And I'm like, I don't know if I've worked that particularly well. But in your space, end of Jan is the big deadline, isn't it? So talk to me about what's happening in your world about that at the minute.
So I plan that quite carefully, because one of the things that frustrates me is when we give our clients their tax bills, and it's a part of what we're doing is giving our clients tax bills at the last minute. It doesn't have to be done that way. You can do your tax returns before the deadline. Yeah. It's really that, isn't it? So a lot of my clients I've been using Xero with, they've been processing their data through the year. So when we come to year end, it's really straightforward to do tax returns. So most of mine are done. I've got a couple that I'm still working with because the clients have been a bit slow getting on to things at their end. But most of mine are out the way, so it's not that big January madness. The VAT returns come and go all the time, but it's the same with VAT returns. Because I work with daily bookkeeping, within 7-8 days of the month end, we can finalise a VAT return. There's none of this tight deadline crunch, which is just so frustrating.
Yeah, I agree. But the other thing is that sort of everything going digital, because I mean, the HMRC win, don't they? Because they can track it as actively as possible. But also, I mean, certainly we've spoke about before, just having that data, knowing like my accountant, I submitted in June, so I knew what my tax return was going to be sort of middle of August once he'd got it all sorted. And that was perfect, because you can plan for the tax bill, you know what's coming, you know, it's all sorted. So are you seeing this is a question. Are you seeing a trend towards that? And is there still the odd business, particularly in cash-based businesses, that are saying, you know what, I like the old way of doing it? And how do you transition those sort of firms?
There are quite a few that have now made that big move to doing things regularly. And it's really just a case of training them and showing them the benefits that, you know what, if I can give you 6 months notice of what your tax bill is, you've got 6 months to plan that in your cash flow, to put some money aside. So the benefit for your business is you haven't got to have all your tax money at the end, one crunch time. You can plan it. And it's that structure that you can give a business which makes a difference. So many of my businesses are liking that and moving away from this, oh, it's your tax bill's going to be paid tomorrow. You've got a fiver in your account. You need 50K. Where's the rest?
Yeah. Yeah. You know what's funny though, we like if you ask Cassie, December and January are our time when every big bill we have comes out. So we've got staff, so we've got sort of PAYE, which is a decent size expense, but the FCA, our regulator, charges us in December. That's a nice Christmas present, FCA, thanks for that. And then we get our tax bill in Jan, and it's like, yeah, okay, no, fair enough, but yeah, all good.
Cash flow planning, Chris, cash flow planning, it's all in the planning, mate.
Look, you know what's weird? I'm relaxed about it, but there's an element of pay, even though we've got in the bank, you know, we're not worried about it. Paying it is still quite painful. It's just like I've got to send thousands and thousands of pounds across. I still don't like doing it, but anyway, that's fine. Steve, talk to me about how much prep that you need clients to do. Like, as you say, as timescales are getting a bit longer, if a client comes to see you, how much time should they be giving to make sure that they've got enough time to allow you to do your job, get the broking done, get the quotes, get the underwriting done, and get cover in play? I suppose it depends on the level, the type of cover, right?
It does. It depends on how complex the case is. I think, like with anything, it's the more time you've got to work on it, the more time you've got to liaise with markets. And I mean, traditionally, I'm a bit old school the way I do my broking. I like to have conversations with the end underwriter rather than kind of setting up a kind of emails with the information attached. You want to discuss through and get them to understand the actual merits of the risk. But
do you think that makes a difference for them
it
to understand
does.
the story?
It definitely, because I think with underwriters, if they can get a bit of a feel for what a client's business is and exactly how it's kind of managed and how it's evolved and where it's going to be in a year's time and where it's come from, no two risks are the same. And I think if you can kind of put a bit of a kind of personal spin on it, I think underwriters are a lot more engaged when it comes to putting rates on it. But I think for us, I mean, our renewal negotiations, normally we'll probably be starting 3 or 4 weeks ahead of the actual renewal date. We tend to having a lot more conversations with clients further ahead. Again, just to manage expectations, purely because of this issue we find ourselves in the fact that insurers aren't as quick coming back as we would like to be. And historically, I mean, what would normally involve is potentially us having meetings in the city and discussing with various underwriters, which we can't do now. So, but yeah, I would say that those sort of conversations are happening a lot earlier. We're probably looking at discussing preliminarily probably 6 weeks ahead of renewal date with most of our clients on new business. Again, it's one of those things. The more time I've got to understand the business, the more time I've got to kind of evaluate it and understand it.
So effectively, February renewals should be having conversations with either you or their broker right now, yeah?
Yes, it should be, yeah. I mean, it's always going to depend on the complexities of the risk. If it's a reasonably straightforward case, it probably won't necessarily need as much involvement. It depends on how high exposure the trade is and specifically what type of product it is. But as I said, I mean, minimum 4 weeks ahead of renewal date. I'd probably suggest 6 weeks as a better approach. And new business, to say all the time in the world, I'd like to be having a conversation with someone that potentially might not be due for another 6 months. Because the more I understand the business, the easier it is for me to be able to negotiate with insurers and potentially preempt it with insurers well before it's due for renewal.
Yeah, gotcha. Great. Thanks so much for that, Kevin. In terms of your world, is arranging sort of equity release mortgages been sort of quicker, longer, and what do people need to bear in mind sort of during 2020 that they may not have had to do before?
With COVID, obviously the biggest problem is going underwriting to offer risk. It tends to be taking an extra 10 days to 2 weeks. And unfortunately, some of the attention and detail has gone astray. But saying that, we still complete within that 6 to 8 weeks compared to normal mortgages, probably far quicker. You are seeing interesting differences on valuation between different surveys, between Countrywide and eServe, up to 10%. We've found 2 or 3 times, so we've worked that. But generally, it's just attention and detail. You guys see the case through. Like I say, the sign of it is straightforward part. It's actually getting to completion, but we earn our bread and butter. That's why we're doing advice fee. You make sure it gets there.
That's part of the advice process, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? I mean, for us, that checking, making sure that everything's right, and making sure that there's a trusted source of advice in the middle. With shopping direct for financial products. May be cheaper, but I'm not convinced that adds more value. Do you know what I mean?
It's not knowledge, is it, mate? All right, I've picked up a trust document this week from myself, to be honest here. One last thing you tend to do. And Aviva's now just saying, right, we send it to you by email and we send it back. Now I've got knowledge from there. If you're a client, sorry, 14-page trust document, it's ridiculous.
I've spoken about this before. We've done a lot of work this year with business owners setting up sort of key man protection offices, and the amount of times where there's not the agreements in place. So the life cover's in play, but actually it just doesn't do the job because they haven't put the right trust documents in play. Probably 8 times out of 10, And that scares me a bit, Kev. Do you know what I mean? Because that free document is the element they need to actually for that product to do the job. So yeah, everybody should check their life plans and check that they've got either trust documents or expression of wishes in place on their pensions. That's one important tip. Actually, what we also find is that people haven't told their pension providers who they want the money to go to. It's called an expression of wish form. Yeah. It's completely free. Just go to your pension provider and get it, because you do want your pension trustees to know who to pay the money to. Ian, what do you think in terms of people in your space, people thinking it's simple, but then like sort of you inform them with your advice? What sort of area do you think that people need your help with the most?
Oh God, that's a really difficult question to answer, Chris. There's such a lot out there. What I actually do with them is I offer them a complimentary session to get to know what they're worried about, and sometimes I'll be more worried about something than they are, and it's just, I think I said it earlier on. It's just letting them know what risks they're running. I find myself in a position that I don't often give advice per se. It's just a case of, well, this is the risk that you're running. You can either accept it or you can do something to lessen it or mitigate it. And you can do it in this way or that way.
Yeah.
And it's not so much giving advice. I don't see necessarily that's my role. And some of these things that come up, as you've been talking about, there's key man risk. It's something I've gone through with one of my clients just this week, and it meant us getting a delegation chart filled out for their business continuity plan. So it's all kind of things like that, where you listen to them and you ask them questions and they actually know the answers more often than not. They just haven't committed them into a document to give them something hard and fast to follow.
Yeah,
it's the same with everything.
You know what we find, that it's our clients know what they want. They know what they want to do. It's just our job to help them get there. Christine, tell me a story about a website you've built this year that's really supported a business achieve their goals.
What, on a lead gen or a client basis?
Up to you.
Up to me. So I haven't. I mean, the results have been good. So we have an accountancy firm based in Dartford. She said at one point that, thank you, because she had a website before for many years. It was naff. The content was bad. She had no kind of real location mentionings on her website. So again, when people are looking for an accountant in Romford, you need to have accountant in Romford on your website.
Yeah.
Variable that people may be looking for, so bookkeeping and all those other things. So if you don't have it, then you're not going to be found.
And what was the issue? Was it just it wasn't engaged to search for the website?
Yeah, I mean, most things when we look at it's down to poor content. We've helped another local business recently, and we looked at their site. It was 4 pages, but it was very scant information on each page, and we just said, look, you're not going to get ranked because there's no keywords on there to be found for. So we've done copywriting for them this week, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that turns around. So, I mean, all of our projects, the good work happens when we just think about the business, interrogate the business owner, think about then,
That's a bit scary, that interrogation.
I know, we're serious, Tracy and I. I mean, don't get Tracy going because she will really kind of turn the screws.
Yeah, exactly. Now I'm scared. Now I'll make sure I never upset Tracy, Christine. That's a promise.
But I mean, most people think if the website looks pretty, that it will work, and that's not the case. And Russ, although he's not on video, will be a testament to that. Is that you have to have what people are looking for written on your site. So that's kind of always what we do, is look at the the business, think about how people would be searching for it, what are the different search terms. Then ideally it's having pages for each of your services. So again, some business owners think, oh, well, look, just put everything on one page and that will work. And yeah, it may look okay, but it won't deliver the results that you're looking for. So, but again, obviously that causes more money. And the good thing with this accountancy firm is that we managed, even though she had quite a small budget that she wanted to spend on her website at that time, and so did put all her services on one page. We said, look, we can't guarantee the results will be brilliant because we would recommend splitting it out. But, you know, she said it's kind of working for her. So
then that can extend potentially over time as a business grows, right?
Yeah. Adding new pages to website isn't like it was 15 years ago where you'd have to kind of like, oh no, we've got to start from scratch. It's going to cost you thousands of pounds. Now adding a page is, you know, a matter of a few clicks and it's there.
Yeah. Do you use any content management systems? Use WordPress or Joomla or?
We tend to use Weebly because when I did the training, they recommended that platform. It's a drag and drop system. So for business owners, if they want to then have control of making changes to their site, they don't need to be website developers. So that tends to work. But we can work across all platforms. So it depends what their needs are. Like for more complex websites, e-commerce, so then we would probably use other tools.
But then I suppose the other thing I was going to mention was the importance of good images. So like you're another one of our HMB cover stars, and when you sent your photo in, I was like, you know what, that's a really friendly, nice image to put on our website. How important, like, do you ever go and say, you know, you speak to a business, they go, right, here's the images I want to use, and you go, you know what, they're not engaging enough.
Yes, but more often than not, they say, oh yeah, we want all these images, and we go, well, what have you got of your own stock? Oh no, we don't have any. And it's like, there's no point in us going to stock photo stock library and getting it off it, because every other website that's been built by
It's going to be the
same images. And you know, at the end of the day, you want to connect with the business owner. So, you know, for Phil, you want pictures of him in action. You want him and his groups in action so that we see, you know, what he's offering. You don't want, you know, just the muscles or the, you know, the perfect body. You want to see people of all shapes and sizes, because if you are not a perfect figure and you're going out for your first exercise class, you want to know that actually that group offers, you know, people of all ages, sizes and whatever. And you know, we're
what? Why are we talking about Phil and his images again? I mean, that's literally every week. That's all we seem to talk about, Phil, right?
I don't know, Phil. I've met him for the first time today, but...
well, no, you know. Phil again is one of our Havering Means Business cover stars, and he got a bit of stick on the group for sending his images. Last week, we were talking about the Havering Means Business calendar. That definitely isn't happening. Just let me say that right now. But hi, Cass. How are you? Are you going to come in and say hello?
Morning.
Morning.
Morning, everyone.
Hi, Cass.
Right, I'm not staying because I've got a session with.
Oh, you're doing a gym session?
I am.
Right, all right.
Gym session now.
See you later.
So yeah, nice to see you.
That was a quick visit.
Sorry, I just had to come and get your gear.
No worries. So what I'm going to do to end this meeting is just go through, like we normally do on a Friday, wins of the week. As Ted's new to the Friday meetings, Ted, what's been your biggest win this week?
We've actually, it's been something we were going to launch back in January, and obviously our plans got shelved because of what happened. You know, we all know about. And you're going to be getting an email about this today, Chris. So we're going to launch the YBC Business Academy. So, you know, it's an observation I think everyone will agree on. Everyone tends to be good at what they do, but doesn't cope when it comes to other areas of expertise.
Yeah.
And a big company succeeds because it's got all the various departments that let it succeed. So we've now got 35 different sectors. I mean, there's people here today are mentioning several of the sectors we're trying to cover off. But, you know, you can, I mean, just using you as an example, you could Google financial advice and get some random advisor that may or may not be good. But there's nowhere to go to get everything. I hate the expression one-stop shop, but, you know, accountancy, website design, R&D, you know, research and development credits, anything, you know, wills and trusts, anything you can think of. So we've now, we're going ahead, we're going to launch middle of January. So two things, it's going to educate the small business commute and self-employed community, and we're inviting members to be the contributors, as in the experts, to be the providers of that advice.
Love it. Absolutely love it. And interestingly, it's one of the things we're going to be doing on this group as well. So when we have our call, did Cassie put that in or not?
Don't know.
Okay. If she has, there might be some
I
scope
ask you,
for collaboration on that.
On the website that you're creating or have created, is it haveringmeansbusiness.co.uk?
Russ, can you tell me or not?
Yeah, it will be.
Because I owned that. I owned every London borough.co.uk, and I started giving a few up. But if I haven't, and you want it, you can have it.
Oh, thanks, mate. I appreciate that. I think we've probably already, Russ.
Oh, we already have it.
All right, okay,
so
cool.
I've already binned it then.
But Ted, I appreciate the gift. I mean, we don't need it, but like we've bought it already. But the fact that you were prepared to, mate, is amazing. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
I think we decided that already. But yeah, definitely some scope for collaboration, because I think there's massive that education piece in terms of helping small businesses fill the gaps. Because as you say, you don't know what you don't know. Do you know what I mean? It's
exactly that unknown thing.
Yeah, spot on. Ian, talk to me about what's so my win of the week is Ted was going to give me a website I already own. I love that.
I gave you a lead last night.
No, I know. Thank you, mate. That client has been booked in for start of Jan, so I appreciate
Brilliant.
that. Well,
Brilliant.
Ian, talk to me about what your win's been this week.
I had a really fantastic one-to-one this week with a chap from Chelmsford, and we were meant to have a chat for an hour. An hour and 45 minutes later, we looked at the clock and said, "My God, hasn't time flown?" And it was just like meeting an old friend.
Love it.
One of those things where we kind of instantly clicked, and those are few and far between, but so treasured when they happen.
I've spoken about it on the sort of Friday meetings before, but I think it's fundamentally important to like who you work with, right?
Absolutely. And to have fun while you work, Chris?
Definitely. Well, why not? Life's too short here. So it looks like you guys are going to be working together. Is that?
Yeah, they're certainly they're an IT company, so that they do a certain number of things, and of course, along with the change piece that I do, lots of people want me to write policies, procedures, not the desktop manuals, not the really low-level stuff, but from the policies and procedures, they then get to know what needs to go in the desktop stuff. So yeah.
And talk to me, because you mentioned at the start of the call that you're doing some chamber work over the next couple of days. Yeah. Tell me about what's going on in the chamber in sort of 2021.
Yeah, so it's a brand new chamber actually, because Chelmsford doesn't have one.
Oh, okay.
And it's a chamber in Chelmsford, and we've got the green light from the council to have one. We're already linking up with some of the larger organisations in Chelmsford. There are some people that are coming in interested in certain types of sponsorship, which is fabulous, because of course we can have some relatively large start-up costs. And we're aiming to have a minimum of 100 members within 6 months, because basically that's what we need to survive. So yeah, my part in it is doing all of the documentation, so writing the constitution, working with the accountant to get the articles registered with Companies House.
And Chelmsford is an interesting hub, isn't it? Because there are some decent-sized businesses in Chelmsford.
Yeah. I mean, there's it's the county town. Let's not forget that. I know people always get drawn to Colchester, and Colchester is also very vibrant, but they've already got a chamber, and to have a chamber in the city of Essex, then yeah, it's going to be a very interesting ride. And Sharon will be glad to hear this. I've already got my forward thinking cap on and thinking, how the hell are we going to cope with VAT as a chamber? It's going to be a really interesting question, and the conversations with the accountant. I think, like Ted, we want to be able to provide funded webinar places. So we might be creating an educational foundation alongside the chamber to help spread the income burden. So all of that kind of thing are the things that are up for discussion, and really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be really exciting.
Yeah, no, definitely. Sounds really good. Julie, talk to us about what your biggest win this week's been.
My biggest win is personal. My son and my husband are COVID negative.
Ah, that's amazing news.
So really stressful.
Yeah, you know what, we've gone through a period because Cassie wasn't well started last week. She had a test and she was negative, and then Charlotte got a sort of message from college saying you need to come and get tested, and she was negative. So you know what, it's a relief, isn't it?
Yeah, my husband, they work on site. They've got a contract for the decorating in all the gyms, the better gyms, and someone on site's wife had it, and he turned up to work Monday and then tested positive. So he was really irresponsible, and but thankfully he's now working the weekend.
So the reason you're celebrating is your husband's out the house. Is that what you're telling us? Fair enough. Look, we've all got wins in a different way. I think Cassie would say the same, Julie. So that's fair. Steve, what's your win?
Probably a couple, to be honest. I thought the Christmas jump up was an outstanding win anyway. But no, I think it's probably.
Can I be honest, Steve? Steve, that's a win for you. For anybody looking at it from outside, I'm not convinced.
Oh, don't be mean.
But thanks for making the effort.
No, I think, on our approach to business, I think with us engaging with our clients has been quite good, because as of yesterday, we closed off December. So us approaching our renewals early doors has mean that we can kind of go into the Christmas period, perhaps not being under so much pressure and waiting for instructions at the last.
So all the renewal work is done, right? All the
renewal work is done, which now enables us to kind of get the wedding ready prepared and kind of get into January and February business ahead of time. And aside from that, this week we've also signed up some new insurer partnerships, which help us acquire business. So yeah, it's been a good week all around.
When you say new partnerships, is that with providers of insurance, or is that with professional partners? Tell me about those partnerships.
New insurance providers. I mean, it's like with anything. I mean, as a commercial insurance broker, you align yourself with certain insurers, and obviously we would work with them in order to secure business and retain business. But you can't deal with all insurers throughout the year, or you have to kind of develop a kind of rapport and kind of strategize who you're going to be working with. And we brought on new insurers in the last couple of weeks that have helped us acquire business and will help us acquire business moving forward for next year.
Thanks, Stephen. Just to validate the comment about your Christmas jumper, you know I'm only saying it because I couldn't pull it off, right? You can, I know that. So
I appreciate that, Chris. Thank you very much, mate.
Does that get me out of that one, Christy? What do you reckon?
I think you need a Christmas jumper. You need to prove that you bought one before the end of the year.
But I can't wear it after Christmas, could I? That would be.
You do something on Monday for Havering Means Business.
I could do.
Maybe an announcement with a Christmas jumper. I think that's your on your to-do list for the weekend.
Yeah. I'll think about it. Anyway, what's your win of the week?
Okay, I mean, we close off projects all the time, so it's kind of, we closed off another one which was on a different platform, so that was nice to kind of know that we said we'd do something, and we've learned some new skills, and that wasn't kind of an issue. But I think rather than my win of the week, I think our win of the year for all of us is that we're still here. You know, we are approaching the end of 2020, which has been a year like no other.
Yep.
And in some shape or form, we've managed to survive. So congratulations, I think, to all of us.
Yeah, 100%. I'm really optimistic about 2021 though. I mean, I am a natural optimist, so that might just be me, but how are you feeling about 2021?
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I think the tides are going to change, is my feeling, and I think then we'll see a good year.
Right, thank you for that. Sharon, what's been your big win?
If I can get the unmute button to work. It's not, I'm not sure I call it a win. It is in a way, I suppose. So I've been working on the job from hell, literally. And would you believe it's from another accountancy firm? So they are way, way behind with their books and records. And on the 22nd of November, they approached me to help them out with some work for a couple of clients of theirs. And would you believe, so filing deadline for corporation tax and statutory accounts is 9 months after a business's year.
Yep.
That was extended this year because of COVID by 3 months. The business they have given me is a December 19 year end. Business pays them £840 a month. And they're not up to date with the bookkeeping and the record keeping. They are way, way behind. It's an absolute mess. They haven't even got all the details from their client. And when I said to their bookkeeping manager, look, I need more bank statements, she said it'll be easier to ask the client than the in-house partner because he'll just get upset. So now they're going back to their client that pays them £840 a month to say, actually, we need some bank statements from 2019. I'd be mortified if that was my client, absolutely mortified. So the win, I suppose, for me was coming to a point where I said to them, do you know what, guys? I know I said I'd help you. I've done as much as I can with this. I can't do any more. If you want this done, accounts done by the 22nd, bearing in mind today is the 17th, and 2 days a weekend, good luck to you.
I mean, that sounds like really bad planning on the part of that firm. Do you think bigger firms get complacent at times in terms of working with clients?
They do. And the problem is that the general feeling is if your year end isn't due for 9 months after year end, if we started 6 months after year end, that's okay. Because we've got 3 months and we're finished. And I work just completely differently, which is why I find this so frustrating. I want to do year-end accounts 3 months after the year end, not 3 months before they're due. It's just horrendous.
Yeah, and then once you're in front, aren't you? That's the thing. You know, once you're in front, it's easy the following year and the following year after that.
100%. And in fairness to your clients, if all we're doing is giving them tax bills, and all we do is give them tax bills at 24 hours notice, that's appalling. Surely we have a duty of care to do more. It's ridiculous.
No, I love that. Thank you. So yeah, saying no sometimes is the way to go. And one of the things that, and Kevin mentioned it on the call last week, but one of the things that I think might be useful, and I know Savello runs inner circles and stuff like that, but a Havering Means Business Professionals Forum, where we talk about some of those challenges we face as professional services firms, might be interesting. So we'll because there'll be challenges that we all face as professional services firms that one of us might have a solution for. So it might be good to explore that. Kevin.
Clients as well, sorry, which I also think is important, that we help our clients to learn.
Yeah, 100%.
Understand this. It just makes everything easier.
Well, that's the other thing. There's a potential body of work where we could educate people on a range of subjects in a really easy way. So I need to give that some thought and talk to a few people about it. But sounds like an interesting project for 2021. And I met your son this week.
Yeah.
I was going to mention that. So that was a lovely meeting. Thank you for introducing your son. I'm definitely going to have a chat with him. I think Hervé's booked it in, so that's all good. And it's lovely to be working with you, Sharon. I really appreciate you trusting us as well. Kevin, talk to me about your win.
Good week, generally. For Chris, main part is every client's now gone to offer stage, so we can relax a little bit from late last night. At this point, we can't even release before Christmas, but at least we've got everything guaranteed.
You know the ducks are in a row, though, mate. That's
that's part of it, mate. That's the
yeah.
secure side of it. And it's been changed on that. Then got a couple of new leads in yesterday, so we're working on that. So it's why it's a couple more days' work. But no, it's been a positive start to this new business. This time last year, I was with the key group, I weren't happy. And to think we've turned this around in 6 months to a very profitable business, it's chuffed. Everyone said be careful taking on a partner. To be fair, it's advantageous. We're bouncing off each other, but working very separate at the moment due to COVID, but we're still working together.
Yeah, no, that's good work, mate, and well done on the progress you've made in 2020. It's been brilliant. Phil, what's your big win?
So for me, it's actually kind of, because obviously a new business, it's obviously quite, especially December, it's quite slow in obviously the fitness industry as a whole. People aren't really looking to start their fitness endeavors generally in December. It's normally January. So it's actually, I've been using the time to actually get my head clear about what I'm gonna be doing kind of
2021.
And actually, it's quite nice to actually kind of feel like you're a little bit ahead of the game in terms of what's got to be done in advance. Obviously, I can use this time to actually get some of those things done. Kind of marketing. I've got my January promotions all sort of kind of set, and all the contributors for those promotions are kind of in line. So yeah, it's been good week.
You want to share a little bit about what promotions you've got going on in Jan?
Yeah, I haven't actually announced it yet, but yeah, it's the promotion I'm going to be running it's more like a prize draw. So I've teamed up with at least one local business, the Glass House Retreat.
Okay.
So yeah, so there's going to be kind of a spa day for 2 kind of retreat. But obviously, it's done based on almost to encourage people to encourage people to join. Yes, also as a thank you for everyone that's kind of supported me through my business infancy so far. And yeah, so you qualify for the prize draw after taking part in 5 sessions, and then for every session above that, you get an extra draw in the hat. So someone win a spa day for 2 as a prize, and there's a couple of others that will be like a couple of other prize draws within there for the same promotion. So hopefully it'll be quite fun. So obviously it'll run throughout the month of January. So yeah, it's just I wanted to give quite a nice prize, something quite significant, and it gives me a chance to support other local businesses with those prizes as well.
And can you make sure you share those on the group when you're like? I know I've sort of like you weren't launching yet, but I've forced you into that, Phil. Sorry, but make sure you share that. Make sure you share that on the group when that comes along.
Absolutely.
And that's it. That's it for sort of 2020. I'm not doing any. I'm going to be popping up on the group, and feel free to use the group as we have been over the last few months. As an engaging environment. I might pop on the odd video. I might have to go and buy a Christmas jumper now. Thanks, Christine. But certainly use the group. But we're not going to be doing any more meetings like this until at the start of Jan. Thank you to everybody on this call and everybody who's got involved with Havering Means business so far. Like Ted and I think are a little bit similar this way. This started off with me just sitting there bored on a Thursday night saying, I wonder if there might be an idea for a local business community in Havering, and it looks like there is. So thank you for everybody to getting involved this year. Have a lovely Friday, and if I don't speak to you, have a really good Christmas and New Year. See you later, guys.
See you guys.
Cheers, Chris. See you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Have a good Christmas.
Cheers.
Have a good Christmas. Bye.